So if we professionals want to scale, meaning structure, simplicity, relief, getting rid of that overburden, we really have to figure out the relationship between that end goal and what is actually required to get us there. We need to really think about that. So that's where the relationship piece comes in. We also need to realize that not everybody needs vertical hockey stick growth. We can actually have that progression to where we are and where we want to get to, and it can be gradual. That is the other key term that I picked out. Everybody thinks that success at scale has to be immediate. It has to be right now. And the reality is it could be that, or it could be 10 years. It really matters in terms of what you want to do. So the point there is that scale and progression can be incremental. It can be gradual. So let's dig into the first point a bit in terms of relationship and starting point versus ending point. So we know where we want to go, but how do we actually get us there? I'm a big E-Myth believer. I'm sure there's probably a couple other people that have read the books out there. There's many of them. There's E-Myth Accountant, E-Myth E-Commerce. There's a whole bunch. E-Myth is a book written many years ago, probably decades now, by a person called Michael Gerber. And basically the premise of this book and the whole series of books is it speaks about the entrepreneurial myth. That's the E-Myth. And that's simply the belief that most people believe that businesses are started by people with tangible business skills. They're started by entrepreneurs. When in actual fact, most actual businesses are started by technicians and people with really good skill sets. So that means that most businesses are centered around a single person, the person with the technical skill sets. And that person their input and their expertise is required in order to run all facets of the business. And so that's essentially the E-Myth, is that because you have a bunch of technicians starting up their own businesses, essentially a sole proprietor, maybe slightly larger, essentially what happens is you end up with a whole host of businesses that are unscalable. These businesses can never grow because they're always limited to the skills and the capacity of that one single person or maybe two people. And so with that in mind, the first step, in my opinion, to getting to the blissful concept of scale that we're talking about is simple awareness. You need to sit back and actually ask yourself, are you a business owner, or are you actually an employee within your business? And now keep in mind, you have to be really honest with yourself on this question. I've done it myself through my progression. And it's really easy to say that you're a business owner. You have your own office, you have your own letterhead, you have your own logo, but that's not actually what we're asking here. What we really want to know is, if you had an employee, could you give your workload to that person and have them do it for you with few or hopefully no questions? And keep in mind that there are a lot of smart people out in the world, and we have no regard for cost in this situation. We're just simply asking, is your practice, is your business set up so that someone else could come into the picture and take over your work with very little lift, very little effort, very little training? And to be fair, there's a range here. There's likely a number of tasks that someone could do, but then others that they couldn't. But the whole point here is that if you're asking yourself this question, and if the majority of the time when you look at everything that you do, if the majority of the time the answer is, I need to do that, then books like the E-Myth and people like Michael Gerber would say that you're actually an employee. You're just an employee within your own business. And to be truly free and truly scalable, which is what we're talking about here, you need this awareness because it helps you completely detach yourself from the business, even if you're the only person in it. And doing this one simple step will really make you think differently about what you're doing and how you're doing it, which will then start changing how your business performs and how it works.